Why, hello, you guys. I wanted to give you a quick, idea for July 4th. It is our country's 250th birthday, per se, right? 1776. And my family and I are actually spending time at home, kind of going over doing some of the cuisines, playing the games, and things like that. But I wanted to give you kind of a quick, cool use case, right? To get us in the headspace, potentially, of what it was like as a human being to live in that time in Boston, as well as in my case, Tampa, Florida area. And I wanted to see what that lifestyle actually looked like to be able to kind of explore it. Some of us have read books on this kind of stuff, but I really haven't put that in my purview and things like that over the years. So it came across, I think this is a really cool use case for AI. All right. So I'm going to flip this screen around, hopefully here. I'm going to share with you just visually what was going on. So first of all, I do want to tell you about this little gem right here that I've created. So sorry, you get the behind the scenes of the office here, which is kind of fun and messy and all that stuff. But anyway, I wanted to share this with you. So the gem that I'm going to be taking you to right here is, I did build a research gem. So I wanted to share that with you. So I'm going ahead and let's see here. Where is it? So this is this guy right here. So this is the empirical research nexus that it's called. You know what? I hate it when I think Google changed this, or I can't access the. I have to go back in here real quick. Just stay with me for just a second, okay? Just so you have an idea as to what it is. So in this case here, I gave it some instructions on, just basically thinking, right? I wanted to make sure that it knew how to think and cite sources, to reference things, to go ahead and dig deeper. So that's what's actually generating it. So I don't get just basic crap results from things. So I will give you this insight. All right. So my prompt to the system was this. I thought it was kind of cool. You can do your own, right? So that's the reason I'm actually kind of doing it in this format. Plus, it's way less editing for me, by the way. I would like for you to create 2 narrative stories of the average U.S. citizen in 2 cities 250 years ago. What did their average day look like? I'm not sure what Patel. Maybe I was dictating it in the phone. Dictate. I have no idea what I said there. And narrative story for the first one being a Bostonian in Massachusetts, and the next one being in Tampa, Florida, which is where I'm at. So this is what the response was. So let me go ahead and just kind of pull it up here. It says, this year in 1776, while the American Revolution ignites the bustling, tense streets of British... You know what? I'll tell you what. I'm going to flip around because it's hard for me to actually hold that. That was way too close, by the way, I think. Way too close. Okay, that's a little bit better. At least you can... I want you to picture it in your head, right? Because the pictures in here are okay, but they're just to give you a little bit of background and insight. Let me do this one here first. So yeah, so that's the one right there for Boston, which is kind of cool. And it gives you the source, which is what I told the bot to do, by the way, the gem in this case. So the Bostonian, Massachusetts character, 28-year-old copper, a barrel maker, living near the North End. So this is the Boston one, all right? Morning, a city under siege. Thomas wakes at 5 a.m. to the damp, salty chill of a New England morning. He quickly strokes the hearth fire and the heartbeat of his small wooden home. Breakfast is simple and quick: cornmeal mush, hasty pudding, sweetened with molasses and washed down with a small beer, as the local water is notoriously unsafe. By 6:30 a.m., Thomas is in his workshop. Barrels are the shipping containers of the 18th century, vital for holding everything from salted cod to gunpowder. As he hammers iron hoops around oak staves, another word I was not familiar with, his mind is rarely on the wood. The atmosphere in Boston is suffocating. The British Army has occupied the city, and the harbor is choked with warships. You getting this visual picture is so cool to be able to kind of do it in a narrative like this and using AI to actually do it. Plus, you kind of trust some of the information because you've given it that, you've built a gem that says basically use certain data and resources and information. Okay, so that's this setup right now in the morning. His afternoon, rumors at the tavern. I love the narrative format, by the way. It's so easy to remember. At noon, Thomas stops for dinner. The main meal of the day, featuring salted pork and root vegetables. Afterwards, he heads down to the docks to check on a shipment of timber. The streets are a chaotic mix of red-coated British regulars, squeaking horse-drawn carts, and tightly lipped locals. He slips into the local tavern under the guise of business. Taverns are the informational hubs of 1776. Over a tankard of hard cider, men whisper the latest radical news. General Washington's Continental Army is fortifying Dorchester's Height, just south of the city. Thomas listens intently. He has been secretly hiding extra iron bands to help local blacksmith forge weapons for the militia. Evening. The quiet hearth. In dusk falls around 6 p.m. The shop is locked up. Candles are expensive, so Thomas's family relies on the flickering light of the fireplace for the evening. They eat a light supper of bread and cheese. Before sleeping, Thomas carefully checks the shutter locks. With a curfew enforced by British patrols outside and the looming threat of open warfare breaking out in his backyard, he lies down on his straw mattress, wondering if the city will still be standing by tomorrow morning. What a cool story, right? An amazing use case for AI. Part 2, right? The Gulf Coast trader, Tampa, Florida. Character, Antonio, a 34-year-old pescador. That's my best pronunciation, pescador. Fisherman, trader of mixed Spanish and indigenous heritage, living near Tampa Bay. And here's the image of that one right there, by the way, just to let you guys know. All right, so you got my total office, my total mess, but that's fine. I'm being transparent with you. It's no biggie. Morning, the silent bay. Antonio wakes up at dawn to the sound of cicadas and crashing waves. There's no cobblestone streets or brick buildings here. His home is a palafito, a small open-air hut built on wooden stilts with a thatched roof made of palmetto leaves to catch the Gulf breeze. While Bostonians worry about politics and tea taxes, Antonio's focus is about pure survival. He eats a breakfast of smoked mullet and cassava root. By 6 a.m., he is out in the glassy waters of the bay in a hollowed-out cypress dugout canoe. He is part of a rancho, a seasonal fishing camp established by Spanish-Cuban traders. Afternoon. The catch of the heat. By midday, the brutal Florida sun beats down. Yes, it certainly would. Bringing the humidity to a stifling peak. Antonio and his crew pull in heavy fiber nets teamed with mullets, drum, and sea trout. They bring the catch back to the shore where the real work begins, splitting, salting, and drying the fish on large wooden racks. In the afternoon, a group of Seminole traders arrives at the camp. Antonio speaks a broken mix of Spanish, Muskogee, and English. They trade smoothly, exchanging Antonio's salted fish and iron hooks for valuable deerskins, wild honey, and fresh venison. There's no talk of George Washington or King George III here. The only politics that matter are maintaining peaceful trade balances between the indigenous tribes and the Spanish merchants out of Havana. Evening. The smoked fire. As the sun dips below the Gulf horizon, painting the sky in deep oranges and purples, our sunsets here are just fantastic, by the way. Unlike even many parts of the world, it could be just that we're on a peninsula, I have no idea. Deep oranges and purples. The camp prepares for the night's greatest adversary. Mosquitoes. Yes, true, mosquitoes. Large smudge fires is what they're called, are lit up damp wood and moss to create a thick, heavy smoke that keeps the swarms at bay. Antonio eats a fresh supper of roasted turtle meat and wild oranges. He lies down in his hammock suspended between two wooden posts, a mosquito netting draped tightly over him. As the night deepens, the only sound are the calling of owls and the gentle lapping of the tide against the shore, worlds away from the brewing revolution to the north. And then it does this little comparison, which is kind of interesting. Just really quick. I don't know. Yeah, it's just really fast. It just does this, the comparison table, right? Sovereignty, primary economy, living structures, and daily stressors. and it gives the Boston life as well as the Tampa life. It's just kind of a cool use case, right, for this stuff. And I just wanted to share that with you because it's just one practical way to be able to use AI to do something kind of interesting and provide a little bit of color and understanding of how people lived back then. So I hope that use case blesses you today. I know it did me. It's something simple and fun. And I hope, share it out to other people. I'd love to hear other use cases, other readings even of things of different parts of the people in different parts of the country. It'd be fun to kind of compare and see how that happens. So thanks so much for the time. Have a happy and safe 4th of July with your family and friends. Remember, it's dry out there, folks. So be careful. All right, take care. Bye-bye.